Dear to SB's heart. If something is dear to someone or dear to their heart, it is very important to them. Preserving rare species was dear to the ecologist's heart. Dear to SB's heart. Very important to someone. The conservation project was dear to the scientist's heart. Death and firing hit etc. Squad, noun. A group of people who are trained to kill, usually with guns. The elite military squad conducted the simulated exercise in the desert. Debate. To discuss a subject formally. The ethics of genetic modification were debated at the symposium. Decaffeinated. Tea or coffee with the caffeine removed. Researchers offered decaffeinated coffee to study participants to avoid caffeine effects. Decay. When something deteriorates. The organic matter began to decay after a week. Deceased, dead. Dead. The deceased lab animal was prepared for necropsy. Deception. When you make someone believe something untrue. The experiment used mild deception to test decision-making processes. Deceptive. Making you believe something untrue. The graph was deceptive, suggesting a trend that did not exist. Decide, result. To cause a particular result. The catalyst decided the reaction pathway. Deciding factor. The thing that helps make the final decision. The reproducibility of data was the deciding factor in accepting the hypothesis. Deciding factor. The thing that helps to make the final decision. The availability of funding was the deciding factor in choosing the research project. Decisively. In a decisive way. The researcher acted decisively to prevent contamination of samples. Dedicate STH to SB to show love or respect for someone. The scientist dedicated her award to her mentor. Dedicated, for purpose. Designed for a particular purpose. The lab had a dedicated room for PCR experiments. Deduce. To decide something is true using available information. By analyzing the spectra, the chemist deduced the compound structure. Deduction, fact. Deciding using available information. The deduction from the trial indicated a flaw in the protocol. Deem. To judge or consider in a particular way. The committee deemed the study methodologically sound. Deep, serious. Serious and difficult to understand. The lecture covered deep concepts in quantum mechanics. Deep in thoughted conversation. Giving all of your attention to what you are thinking or talking about. The researcher was deep in thought, analyzing the complex data sets. Deepen, worse, stronger. To become worse or stronger or make something worse or stronger. The scientist's concern deepened as anomalies appeared in the test results. Defective. Not in good condition or not working correctly. The microscope was defective and could not focus properly. Defensive. Quick to protect yourself from criticism. The researcher became defensive when questioned about data integrity. Deficiency, not enough. When you do not have enough of something. Vitamin D deficiency can lead to bone weakness. Definitive. Certain, clear, and not likely to change. The paper provided a definitive explanation of the observed phenomenon. Defy. To refuse to obey someone or something. The bacteria defied conventional antibiotics in the lab experiment. Defy belief a description to explanation. To be impossible to believe describe for explain. The magnitude of the volcanic eruption defied belief. Delegate. To give someone else part of your work or responsibilities. The principal investigator delegated routine data collection to assistants. Delegation. A group of people chosen to represent a larger group. The delegation of scientists attended the International Climate Conference. Delicate, attractive. Having a thin attractive shape. The butterfly's wings were delicate and iridescent under the microscope. Demolish, prove wrong. To show that an idea or argument is wrong. The experiment demolished previous assumptions about particle behavior. Demonstrate, express. To express or show a feeling, quality, or ability. The physicist demonstrated the new laser's precision to the team. Denial. When you say something is not true. There was widespread denial about the negative impacts of pollution. Dependence. When you need someone or something to exist or continue. Plant growth shows dependence on sunlight and water. Depict. To represent someone or something in a picture or story. The diagram depicts the stages of cell division. Deposit, substance. A layer of a substance formed naturally or chemically. Mineral deposits formed along the riverbed over centuries. Depressed, economy. Area lacking jobs or business activity. The mining town had a depressed economy after the mine closed. Depression, economy. A period of low business activity. The region suffered a depression following the industrial collapse. Deprivation. Not having enough of something. Sleep deprivation affects cognitive performance. Depth, amount. How much someone knows or feels about something. The depth of her expertise in genetics was impressive. Derive comfort, pleasure. To get a positive feeling from something. Many students derive pleasure from hands-on laboratory experiments. Descendant. Someone related to someone who lived long ago. He is a descendant of a famous 19th century biologist. Desperate, serious. A very serious or bad situation. The patient was in a desperate state after severe dehydration. Desperation. Being desperate. Desperation drove the team to work through the night to save the experiment. Detached, not emotional. Not involved emotionally. The scientist remained detached while reviewing controversial data. Deterrent. Something that stops people from doing something by fear. High fines act as a deterrent to laboratory safety violations. Detrimental. Harmful or damaging. Prolonged exposure to UV light is detrimental to the cells. Devastating, destroying. Causing a lot of damage. The earthquake had a devastating effect on local infrastructure. Devastation. Serious damage caused by an event. Satellite images showed the devastation caused by the tsunami. Develop, happen. To start to happen or exist. A rash developed after exposure to the chemical. Developer, land. Someone who buys land or buildings to improve and sell. The developer transformed the abandoned industrial site into a research facility. Development, start. When something starts to happen or exist. The development of a new vaccine began last year. Devil, badly behaved person. Someone who behaves badly. The mischievous monkey was a devil in the research enclosure. Devise. To design or invent something. Engineers devised a new cooling system for the laboratory. Diagnose. To say what is wrong with someone ill. The physician diagnosed the patient with bacterial pneumonia. Diagnosis. When a doctor identifies what is wrong. The diagnosis confirmed the presence of a rare genetic disorder. Dialect. A form of a language spoken in a particular region. Linguists study regional dialects to understand language evolution. Dialogue. Formal discussion between countries or groups. Diplomatic dialogue helped resolve the trade dispute. Difference, disagreement. A disagreement or differing opinion. There was a difference of opinion on the methodology among researchers. Differentiate, make different. To make someone or something different. The test differentiates between bacterial and viral infections. Dignified. Calm, serious and respected. The scientist gave a dignified presentation on climate change data. Dignity. Calm and serious behavior that makes people respect you. The researcher maintained dignity while presenting controversial findings. Dim, not bright. Not bright or clear. The laboratory light was dim, making it hard to read the measurements. Dim, verb. To become less bright or to make something less bright. The technician dimmed the microscope's light to observe the sample more clearly. Diplomacy, countries. Dealing with relationships between governments. International diplomacy helped prevent conflict over water resources. Diplomacy, people. Skill in dealing with people without upsetting them. Effective diplomacy among team members ensured smooth project progress. Diplomatic, people. Good at dealing with people without upsetting them. She was diplomatic when resolving the disagreement in the lab. Diplomatically. In a way that deals well with people without upsetting them. He diplomatically addressed the errors in the experiment during the team meeting. Direction, development. The way someone or something changes or develops. The project took a new direction after incorporating AI technology. Disappear or vanish into thin air, idiom. To suddenly disappear mysteriously. The signal seemed to vanish into thin air due to electromagnetic interference. Disc, back. A piece of cartilage between bones in the back. The MRI showed a herniated disc pressing on a nerve. Discipline, knowledge. A particular subject of study. Genetics is a discipline that explores heredity and variation in organisms. Disclose. To give new or secret information. The company disclosed the results of its clinical trials to the regulators. Discomfort, mental feeling. Slightly embarrassed or anxious. She felt discomfort when asked to present her incomplete findings. Discomfort, pain. Slight pain. The patient reported mild discomfort during the injection. Discourage, prevent. To try to prevent something from happening. The safety regulations discourage improper handling of chemicals. Discreet. Careful not to cause embarrassment or attract attention. The lab manager was discreet when addressing sensitive personnel issues. Discretion. Carefulness to avoid embarrassment or attention. The scientist exercised discretion when publishing preliminary results. Discriminate, notice. To notice a difference between two things. The spectrometer can discriminate between very similar wavelengths. Disguise, hide. To hide something such as a feeling or opinion. The researcher disguised her disappointment with a neutral expression. Disgust. A very strong feeling of dislike or disapproval. There was widespread disgust at the environmental damage caused by the spill. Disillusioned. Feeling disappointed because something is not as good as expected. Many students felt disillusioned when their hypotheses failed experimental tests. Disloyal. Not loyal or supportive when expected. A disloyal lab assistant revealed confidential research to competitors. Dismay. A feeling of unhappiness and disappointment. The team felt dismay when the experiment failed after weeks of preparation. Disorder, not organized. Things are untidy or confused. The storage room was in disorder, with chemicals scattered around. Display, feeling. To show how you feel. She displayed confidence during the peer review presentation. Disposable. Intended to be used once and then thrown away. Disposable gloves are standard in microbiology labs. Disposable income. Money available to spend after essentials. Researchers with more disposable income can afford advanced equipment for home experiments. Disposition. The type of character someone has. Her calm disposition helped maintain order during complex experiments. Dispute, disagreement. A disagreement. Especially one that lasts long. Dispute, verb. To disagree with something. The scientist disputed the earlier findings based on new evidence. Disqualify. To stop someone from participating due to wrongdoing. The student was disqualified from the chemistry competition for cheating. Disrespectful. Being rude and not showing respect. Interrupting colleagues during presentations is disrespectful. Disruptive. Causing problems that interrupt something. Unexpected power cuts were disruptive to the experiments. Dissolve, become liquid. To become part of a liquid. Salt dissolves completely in water at room temperature. Distant, relative. Not closely related. She was a distant relative of the famous biochemist. Distinct, hear, see. Easy to hear, see, or smell. The two chemical compounds have distinct odors. Distinction, quality. A quality that makes someone or something special. Her research achievements earned her distinction in the field of molecular biology. Distress, danger. When someone or something is in danger and needs help. The stranded hikers signal distress to rescue teams. Disturb, upset. To make someone anxious or upset. Unexpected lab noises disturbed the students' concentration. Disturbance, fighting. When people fight or shout. A disturbance in the lab caused the experiment to be interrupted. Disturbed. Not thinking or behaving normally due to mental or emotional problems. The patient appeared disturbed after the chemical exposure. Disturbing. Unpleasant and making people feel anxious. The data showing species extinction rates is disturbing. Dive into STH. To start doing something suddenly and energetically. The intern dove into the DNA extraction procedure without hesitation. Divert, change route. To send someone or something somewhere different. Traffic was diverted from the main lab hallway during renovations. DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, a chemical in the cells of living things which contains genetic information. Scientists extracted DNA from the cell samples to analyze genetic mutations. Do SBA the world of good, idiom. To make someone feel much happier or healthier. A break in the countryside did the researchers a world of good. Do SBA the world of good, uncountable or singular noun. To make someone feel much happier or healthier. A break from the lab does the world of good for mental health. Do SBL justice, do justice to SBL. To show the best or real qualities of something or someone. The high-resolution microscope did justice to the intricate structure of the cell membrane. Do SBL justice, do justice to SBL. To show the best or real qualities of something or someone. The photograph did justice to the complexity of the molecular structure. Do STH as you see fit. To act according to judgment. Researchers adjusted parameters as they saw fit within ethical guidelines. Do STH as you see or think fit. To do something that you feel is the right thing to do although other people might disapprove. He handled the lab procedure as he saw fit, following standard safety rules. Do STH by the book, idiom. To follow rules exactly. The lab performed the chemical synthesis by the book to ensure safety compliance. Do STH to excess. To do something too much. Consuming sugar to excess can damage health, even in laboratory test subjects. Do the job. To be suitable for a particular purpose. The new filter does the job of removing impurities efficiently. Do the job, idiom. If something does the job, it is suitable for a particular purpose. A simple pipette does the job for transferring small volumes of liquid. Do the trick. If something does the trick, it solves a problem or has the result you want. A mild detergent did the trick to clean the delicate glass slides. Do the trick, noun. If something does the trick, it solves a problem or has the result you want. Adding a small amount of catalyst did the trick in speeding up the reaction. Do your own thing, idiom. To live, act or behave in the way you want to, without depending on other people. The graduate student preferred to do her own thing in designing experiments. Do learn STH the hard way. To do or learn something by experiencing a lot of problems or difficulty. She learned the importance of proper measurements the hard way after a failed experiment. Do learn STH the hard way, idiom. To do or learn something by experiencing a lot of problems or difficulty. The students learned the hard way that precise measurements are essential in chemistry experiments. Dole STH out. To give something, especially money, to several people or in large amounts. The university doles out grants to students conducting research in molecular biology. Dominance. Power, influence and control. The dominance of certain bacteria in the culture affected the experimental results. Dominant, strong. Strongest and wanting to take control. The dominant allele determines the visible trait in a heterozygous organism. Donor, blood organs. Someone who gives blood or part of their body for medical purposes. The hospital thanked the organ donor for saving multiple lives. Donor, money or goods. Someone who gives money or goods to a person or organization. Charitable donors contributed lab supplies to the Community Science Center. Don't get me wrong. Used when you do not want someone to think that you do not like someone or something. Don't get me wrong, I respect your methodology, but I have concerns. Don't get me wrong, phrase. Used when you do not want someone to think that you do not like someone or something. Don't get me wrong, the old method works, but the new one is more efficient. Don't you dare. Used to tell someone strongly not to do something. Don't you dare touch the samples without gloves, warned the supervisor. Doom. Death, destruction, and other unpleasant events that cannot be avoided. Without proper storage, perishable reagents face doom in the hot lab. Doom and gloom. Unhappiness and feeling no hope for the future. Reports of failed experiments created a sense of doom and gloom among the interns. Doorway. An entrance to a building or room through a door. The researcher paused in the doorway before entering the restricted lab.